Hey, welcome to the NC Barn Door Build channel. Are y'all ready for an interior tour of our barn dominium? We've been working on the interior framing. This thing is starting to look like a house, and I want to give you a quick walkthrough, and then we'll get right into how we did it. All right, guys, here we go through the front door. You're going to walk into a foyer area. So that door opens up against the wall here. This is a wall, the back wall of the master closet, and then as you walk in the front door, this area is going to be a big cased opening here, almost 8 foot wide. That's going to be an office area. And then you come through here, living area, porch out back with the double doors, got them open right now, obviously. Kitchen is to the left, so refrigerator, countertop along this wall, countertop, sink, stove, all that good stuff along that wall. We're gonna have an island out here. Living area over in this section, living room, probably have TV on the wall over there with maybe a fireplace below, we'll see, electric fireplace. This is the guest side of the house. So as we come over this way, we're gonna have a cased opening again with timbers and in through a barn door into the guest bath. That'll be a full bath. Sink, countertop, linen closet, water closet, shower, all that good stuff. As you come through this cased opening, you can turn to the left and we're gonna go into the first guest bedroom. Roughly a 12 by 12 bedroom. Got to do a little bit of blocking yet in preparation for the drywall. Closet here, then you come back out. But for the most part, we're pretty much caught up. We're going back. This is the second guest bedroom, same size, about a 12 by 12. Over here, same exact setup. We're going to have a closet. We have the closet framed out there. Okay, we come back out into the main living area. Hallway over here is for the master bedroom, so we'll take you down that way. Again, the front door is here for your area. Hang a left, you're going down to the master bedroom. So we're in the master bedroom right now. This is about a 15 by 15-ish walk-in closet here. It's a pretty big room. It's about an 8 by 10-ish walk-in closet. Come back out of the walk-in closet into the master bedroom. And we're looking into the master bath. And as you step into the master bath, the whole area over here, 10 foot wide, it's going to be a car wash shower. I'm really excited to get that put in and get that working. It's going to be really cool. So I hope you stay tuned for that. It's going to be a full tiled car wash shower. Left side here below the window, which is centered, is going to be the double vanity countertop. And then in the corner here, we'll have the water closet and probably a half wall here. And that is the master bath. We come back out the master bedroom into the living area, back around. Again, living area here, kitchen over there with the island. Double doors, French double doors out to the patio area. And this is going to be nice when we get it all finished. Just an equipment storage area right now. And then we go back to the door that goes over into the garage. This is kind of our messy kitchen / laundry room. So dryer, washing machine over here, laundry area. We're going to end up putting a countertop over here. I don't know how long it'll run, probably from the window to the corner maybe. And then we'll have a drop zone over here for all of our shoes and coats and what have you as you walk in through the garage. And then this little room over here is our utility room. Water heater will go here in this area, and then I've yet to completely decide how this is going to work, but we may have an ERV system with a whole home dehumidifier. We'll see how this all works out, but stay tuned for that. Yet to be decided officially, but that's our mechanical room there. So again, walking back out into the main living area, and then the front door back that way. So that's a little quick tour of the house. Now let's get into how we did all of this framing, because we've been working on it probably for a couple of weeks now, and there's a lot to it. So let's dig right in. We're working on interior framing, man. This thing is starting to look like a home. Let me show you where we're at with things. Here's a look at the ceiling joist bay that I'm working on. Got hangers up on the left-hand side. Got to do the right-hand side yet. Here's the finished look, what we're going for. If you follow along on the build, we did something very similar in the garage. This build is going to be a little bit different here because it's a living area. So you can see what we have yet to go here. Not too many more bays, so let's keep pounding some nails here. Couple of things with putting these joist hangers in. If you don't mind spending the extra money, this would be a perfect opportunity to have a nail gun with a metal fastener tip on it. You could really rip through and get a lot of these things installed. For me, this is all about budget. The hand nailing things is definitely cheaper than buying nail strips for the nail gun, so I just elected to spend the extra time, save a little money, and hand nail all of these brackets in. If you've never used these joist hangers before, they're really simple. You have two prongs on the top side that you hammer into place to hold the joist hanger while you get your nails, connection nails in. I'm using 1.5" 10-penny joist hanger nails. And then I use a 10-penny 3-inch nail to go through the double shear side, the connection that way. You can kind of see how that works out. I'm hand nailing everything, so you really have to be careful. 1.5" nail's not much to hang on to, so you can end up with some bloody fingers if you're not careful. These hangers are really nice strength-wise. But when you're doing finishing work, specifically drywall around these things, they're really a pain in the butt because they make the surface uneven. So you end up, if you have a drywall seam underneath, you end up with an uneven seam, and it really makes finishing it difficult, at least in my book. So we have a little bit different game plan on this ceiling than we did with the garage build. If you've been hanging around on the channel for any length of time, if you remember the garage build, we did a ceiling joist video there. And we hung the drywall directly underneath the framing. This build's going to be a little bit different. One, because I want a nice, good finished look on the drywall. And for two, I need a good air barrier on the ceiling. So we're going to do things a little bit different. Won't be in this video, but I encourage you, if that interests you, subscribe, hang out. When that video comes out, you can kind of see how this all fits together and how we're air sealing the entire envelope of the house here. Now that we have our hangers up, it's time to go through, and putting the actual joist itself in is pretty simple. The big thing to remember with this, when we set our trusses, we try to get those nice and straight. So it's real easy to cut these joists maybe a little bit bigger than what they need to be, or a little bit smaller. I wanted a perfect fit, so you'll see me as we go through here measuring each one. These trusses are not perfect. They have gusset plates holding the members, the bottom cord members together, so they're not 100% perfectly straight on the bottom cord. But what I don't want to do is push anything out of plane or out of whack, or pull things out of plane or out of whack. So I tried to measure each one and get it in there because I didn't want to move things. And then all the temporary bracing that I had in for the bottom cord is removed when you do this process, which is nice. Get those 10-foot 2x4s back and can use those for other things in the project. Once the ceiling joists are all finished up, then it's time to move into setting your walls. And all we do for this is measure, get things square on the floor, chalk line it so you have something to set your bottom plate up against, and then you'll see you can just tip the wall into place and use your level or laser if you wanted to get the wall plumb. And depending on your blueprint, you just follow the prints, and things aren't 100% exact to the fraction of an inch, but you get things pretty close. And we actually moved and adjusted some of the walls, but nothing really rocket science here. We're just building the walls, 16 on center. And then what we did was measure from the bottom of the joist down to the floor, and then make your wall just a skosh smaller than that so you can tip it into place without too much headache and trying to wedge it in. I hate using hammers and mallets and stuff to wedge things into place. So try to get it snug, but not too snug. And this makes it nice. You can just build the wall on the floor, and then you see we tip it into place. We started using a 4-foot level, but again, your studding isn't perfect. Not every board is perfectly straight, so you just kind of have to get it as best you can. We ended up pulling the 8-foot level out later on down the road, but this is just to kind of give you guys an idea of how we set the walls. And of course, follow your blueprints. Everything was laid out. We did make a few adjustments on things that we didn't quite like. For an example, the hallway going into the master bedroom, we kind of extended one of those walls out, the backside of the kitchen wall, just to kind of break the two rooms up a little more. And we adjusted some of the doorways, some of the sizes. I went, everything doorway wise is at least a 3-foot door. Here we're making some cripple studs here, and we're going to put this above that cased opening that you've seen during the walkthrough by the front door. Again, these are all non-supporting walls, so there's a lot of freedom here. The code gives you a lot of relief on the type of lumber you can use and what's required. Like for this opening, since we're under 8 feet and less than 2 feet from the top plate, there's no header required. Since it's a non-supporting wall. So we just build it, lift it into place, screw it in, fasten it, and you're good to go. No jack studs required either. All right, guys, we are nearing the end of the framing here, the interior framing. We have a little bit of blocking and stuff to put up for sheetrock, but what I'm going to do or show you guys now is how I make my walls nice and straight. And what I mean by that is finding studs with bows in them. These are 10-foot high walls, and inevitably when you buy a bunk of lumber, you're going to have some that are not perfect, that are warped, cupped, bowed, whatever. And the goal now is to find those. And all I do is I take my 8-foot level, and I'm just looking to see that all the studs are in pretty good alignment. With this, a small gap is not a big deal. If it's a 16th, not a huge deal, but you start getting an 1/8 or more, you're gonna wanna take care of it. So this wall is pretty good for the most part, but we do have one down at the other end that's kind of rogue. Let me give you a close-up here. Try to show you what I'm doing here. You just kind of put it on the studs here, and you can see there's a teeny tiny gap there, not a huge deal. But they, for the most part, these look pretty good. And we're just gonna keep sliding this thing down since those are all good. Pretty tight. Now we get down to this end one, and you can see, I don't know if you can see that there, my level is hitting that. So that one's an issue, and it's actually causing my level to come away from these. There's a little bit of a gap there, but that's due to this one being bowed. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know, that's probably an 1/8 of an inch, probably 1/4 of an inch roughly that one's bowed. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that. I'm just gonna take my pencil here and mark that this one needs to come out, and then we'll recheck these last couple here. Let me show you how I fix that and get this board or this stud in plane with the rest of them. The next step is to look at my pile here and try to find another board that's bowed, and it's really not that hard. This one's got a decent bow in it. That actually might be a little bit too much. It doesn't, with a 10-foot long board, it doesn't take much to straighten it back out. That one's actually pretty straight. Let's try this one. We'll see what happens here. It may be a bit much, so we may have to take it back out. But let's get this. I'm going to get a measurement here on that stud and cut this to length. Okay, we're at 1/16 3/4. So let's go ahead and chop this one. It doesn't have to be a super tight fit because this structurally isn't doing anything. And to boot, all these walls are non-load bearing since we're doing post frame. So we have a lot of flexibility here on how we handle this. I just think this is the cleanest way. And I should be wearing safety glasses, but I'm not. All right, so let's get this board over there. The next step here is to get this board up there, and it's bowed out to my right. So that board's bowed to the left, so I want to go opposite. And let's see how this thing fits. All right, pretty good. So what I'm going to do is, since these bows are completely opposite, I'm going to get the top portion of this board. I'm going to get a screw put in, 2 in the top, and then where this board starts to peel away here from the other board, I'm going to put 2 more screws, and that'll act as my pivot point. So let's go ahead and get some screws started here. Okay, so I'm going to get this top nice and flush. And then I'm going to come down about halfway. And I'm going to line this board up here because this is where I want to pull it. So I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of screws in about right here. Okay, now I'm going to put 2 in the bottom here so I can get ready and sink these in when I get the board where I want it. And let me show you the bottom of this. So you can kind of see how the boards are nice and flush from the top all the way down here. And then this board you can see starting to curve out. So what I'm going to do now is push the bottom of this in, and with my pivot point being right here in the middle, it should suck this whole stud back. It doesn't take much, but let's go ahead and get the bottom pushed in and fastened. All right, so here's my board, and all I'm gonna do is take this and push it in to get it flush at the bottom on both sides. That seems to be pretty nice. Let's go ahead and put our level back on here. So this wall was pretty good up until that one. And that is perfect. Let me give you a little look at it. So we're back here. We have a little bit of a gap on the one next to it now since we straightened this one out, but that's what it looks like straight. That one's good, and a little bit of a gap on that one, and of course on the end one we're good. So I think I'm gonna fix that one and this one right here, but otherwise the other ones look pretty good. So we got two more. These are actually bowed the opposite way and not much. So we're gonna find some more boards and then we'll check it again. Look, there's a lot of different ways that you can get your studs back into plane. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where guys are cutting relief cuts in the board and putting shims in and doing all that stuff, and that's fine. You can do that. You can put cross members in, notch them out, cross members, push and pull boards. This is just how I've found to do it. I think it's just a much cleaner look, and although it's not a supporting wall, it just, I don't know, it just makes me feel better, I guess. I'm not hacking up the studs inside the wall to move things around. It's kind of like when we set the posts in the building and we put the trusses in and trying to square things up. We're not pushing and pulling anything. I'm using those adjustable truss tails to kind of get the roof as square as I possibly can. And this is kind of the same thought process. It's probably more time consuming, which is why the production builders don't do this. I'm going to say this took me probably 45 minutes to get this wall the way I liked it. So take it for what it's worth. It's how I do it. And there you go, guys. Have a little bit of a gap on that one, tight. And this is the one that was sticking out. And you can see there's just a slight gap there as well. Down, but that should do our drywall. And that's how you can get leverage just by putting that screw. Couple of screws here in the middle. Get your top set, and as it comes down, the bow is going to be pushed away, and you can just pull or push whether your board is bowed in or out, and straighten it down at the bottom, and that should pull the center of the board around, and you should be able to get a nice straight wall. That's how I'm putting my walls back into plane. You're gonna have, when you buy a bunk of lumber, you're gonna have some that have some wanes, twists, or cups in them, and save those to the end. You can use those because inevitably you're going to have some of your studs that are going to be out of plane and you're gonna need to fix them. The key is finding a stud that's bowed just enough, not too much, where it pulls it out of plane the other way, but you just put your bows opposite, get a couple of screws in the top, put your 2 screws in the middle, where your fulcrum point is going to be, and then the bottom portion is your lever. And again, the longer the lever, the more leverage you're going to have, so you can get that bottom nice and flush. And with the wanes being opposite, it should pull your board back into plane. If not, you can always take it back off if you use screws and try another board maybe that isn't curved as much, or if you need a little more, find one that's in a little worse shape. But that's what I'm doing with all of our leftover lumber that we decided to not use when we framed up the walls. That wraps up the interior framing on this project, and just like any other step in this build, we kind of find out how well we did when we get to the next step. So when we put the drywall on, we'll really find out how well we did keeping our walls in plane and how straight things are. But for the most part, that finishes up the framing for now. I think the next step will probably be finishing up the exterior porches. We need to get those steel panels out of the house, and I want to get the exterior wrapped up. And in order to do that, we got to do some rough-in electrical. So that'll be probably the next video-ish, unless I think of something between now and then. But for now, that's all I have. We'll see you guys on the next video.